many of these agencies have already trained procedures, programs, interpretations, etc., that both enhance their effort to let employees know about their rights and the vigor with which the federal agencies will pursue their claims, and in some cases, the extent of damages that they will seek. Most recently, the Department of Labor just changed a policy that, in essence, will make it more likely that they will seek liquidated damages in unpaid wages, so minimum wage and overtime cases, just as a very recent, in the last few days, tangible example. But you could find them everywhere if you go looking. I mean, it is a sea change in that respect, not to say that the Trump administration was asleep at the wheel and not doing its job. It's just, again, a matter of how aggressively, to put it simply, it's going about it. Job displacement issues would always be expected to contribute to more claims by employees. People who are out of work are more likely to sue their former employers than people who are gainfully employed. For various reasons, they don't need the money as bad if they're working. They don't have as much time if they're working. They're not as upset if they're working. They're not stewing on whatever happened to them at their previous job if they're now working, etc. So for companies who have laid off significant numbers or even small numbers of employees during the pandemic, whether related to COVID or not, there may be greater likelihood of those employees coming back and filing some sort of claim against the company. And, you know, again, that's not COVID specific, other than to the extent in certain industries, especially, that COVID contributed to somewhat unprecedented in cases layoffs industry-wide. There are many other COVID-related issues that are already starting to prompt litigation from employees against their current or former employers. This ranges from sort of OSHA issues, safety and health issues. My employer's not doing what it should be doing, and I got COVID. I developed symptoms, or I haven't gotten COVID yet, but I'm afraid I will. Also could include the disability accommodation issues. It could include discrimination issues of any sort based on who is or isn't allowed to work from home, as the trend is to try to move back into the physical workplace. So there's many of those types of things. And now, as we were talking about a little bit more, there could be vaccination related issues. One of the big questions people are going to have is, should I mandate vaccinations among my employees, which I said is going to raise accommodation issues, which could lead to discrimination claims, and ultimately could lead to legal challenges as to whether mandatory vaccination is permissible or not. At this point, based on everything we know, there doesn't seem to be a particularly clear prohibition on mandatory vaccinations, but it's not the type of thing that has become such a prevalent societal issue in the past as it is now. So I have a little bit of data to sort of hammer this home. The EEOC every year puts out pretty extensive data on the charges of discrimination filed with that federal agency. In most states, you can file discrimination claims either with the EEOC or with the state agency. So this isn't all the discrimination claims that are filed in a year, but you can file an EEOC claim anywhere across the country. So at that level, you can see here that over the 8 years of the Obama administration, there was always at least 88,000 and usually over 90,000 at the peak, close to 100,000 discrimination charges filed each year. At the other end, in the red, under the Trump administration, the number has declined each year over the last 4 years, now down to a much lower level of just under 70,000 claims in the fiscal year that ended last September. So what does this mean? I mean, be careful in interpreting data, but I think based on everything we know and experience and everything I've just said, it is fair to assume that there is some relationship between the administration's viewpoints and the number of discrimination charges that get filed in a given year. Showing the red versus the blue here, I guess the easy way to put it is there wouldn't be any reason to be surprised if this trend in the red under the Trump administration changes as we move into the Biden years. Again, this is not a case where the EEOC filing these charges. It's individuals going to the EEOC, but for whatever various reasons, employees may become more aware of the EEOC and the ability to file discrimination charges under a Democratic administration, and or they just may feel that they're going to get more out of the process, or there could be other factors involved. But I would just warn employers, HR folks, managers, owners, and the like, that on the whole, this is some statistical data to confirm what there's otherwise reason to believe, that you are more likely to have some form of employee dispute get to government agency level now than you were a year or so ago.